Today's video is in collaboration with Beef, It's What's for Dinner, and the Beef Checkoff. As always, all opinions are my own. Hi, I'm Abby. Welcome to my New York City kitchen, where today we are going to make sous vide strip steak. So in front of me, I have a strip steak. I have some rosemary and thyme. And in here, I have salt, pepper, garlic powder, and garlic onion. Now you might be saying, what is a sous vide? You may have never heard of it, or you may have heard of it, but you're not quite sure what it is. So this here is our sous vide. I have a pot that is got water up to here. And what a sous vide is, it means under vacuum in French. So I will turn this on. And as you can see, this is the temperature of the water, and I can turn it up or down based on what temperature I want the meat to cook to. You can set your sous vide to 141 degrees and then searing it to reach a perfect 145 degrees for medium rare. So what sous vide is, you take an animal protein like this beautiful piece of beef and you put it into a vacuum sealed bag or a resealable bag. You add herbs and spices, you can add some kind of marinade if you like. Everything goes into the bag, you seal it up, the bag goes into the water, and then the water becomes like a water bath. You're almost poaching your beef, and you will cook it for a couple of hours, up to 36 hours, depending on the cut of meat, and it will be perfectly cooked to that temperature. So let's take our bag here. And first we're gonna mix around our spices, and I'm just gonna put everything on top, rub it in there, both sides. We really wanna make sure that we get some herbs and spices on this thing so that it flavors while it's cooking, just like you would if you were going to sear it on the stove. So then this goes into the bag. And I'm gonna take these and I'm gonna kind of crunch them up a little bit here so that they're bruised and it starts to release the essential oils, and put those in the bag as well. Then I'm going to try to get most of the air out and close it almost all the way. And I have a binder clip, which if you have any office supplies at your home, that's pretty much all you need. And then I'm going to put the steak into the water bath, make sure all of the rest of the air comes out, close the bag, and then I will clip it to the side. So this way, the bag always stays submerged in the water. It keeps the steak away from the actual sous vide machine, and then I can walk away and leave it. I can go to work, I can go for a run, I can take my daughter to school. You can go about your day and your meat will be cooking. This is particularly great for tougher cuts of beef. The longer you cook it, the more it will break it down. And if you have it in some kind of marinade, that will add moisture and flavor while the water bath is cooking it slowly and breaking it down over time. So I have this on the counter right now. I'm just gonna leave it here on the counter for about 2 hours, and then I'll come back in a couple hours and we'll talk about the next steps. See you then. Okay, so it's been about 2 hours and our strip steak is cooking away here. I'm gonna turn this off, and the first thing I'm going to do is carefully take this out and let it rest on the board. So before we sear it off, we want it to rest for about 10 to 15 minutes. Just make sure that all of the juices and everything reabsorb and stay in the meat before we take it out and put it onto the stove. So one really great thing about sous vide is that you can use it easily for meal prep. So for example, on a Sunday, I could take a steak, I could take a brisket, I could take a skirt steak, all sorts of different cuts of beef, put them into the sous vide for 1 hour, 10 hours, just, all day, let them sit in there on Sunday with whatever my marinade or my herb and spice mix is. And then before I go to bed, I can pull them out, pop them in the fridge. And, then I come home from work tomorrow, all I have to do is sear this off on the stove. It's really easy. You have your meat done, perfectly cooked for the week. And after you've done this first step in the sous vide water bath, you can leave it in the fridge, staying in this plastic bag for up to 4 or 5 days. So there you go. You have meat for the whole week, which is so easy and helpful. So we'll give you 10 minutes to wait and then we'll be right back. Okay, so we've let this rest. I have a grill pan over here. I'm gonna turn it on and get it pretty hot. So the first rule of searing your steak is that you want your pan to be really hot before you put the oil. And then once you put the oil, you wanna let it get hot again. So I have it over high heat. We're letting it get hot. I have an olive oil spray here. So I'm just gonna let it get really hot again. And I will get my steak ready to go. So I'm gonna take these herbs and put them on the side. And the meat is cooked, but we're just going to sear it so that we get a nice caramelization on all sides for 1 or 2 minutes on each side so that the middle stays nice and medium rare, but the outside gets that nice color and crunch and flavor that we're used to. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit more salt. We can also add some pepper. And we're gonna move over to the stove and gently place our steak in there. So you can hear it searing, and we've put the meat down. We don't wanna touch it. We wanna leave it there for about 1 to 2 minutes and let it get some grill marks and sear on that side before we flip it over. Okay, now I'm gonna carefully turn it over and we'll leave it on the other side for a couple minutes, and then we'll kind of try to do each of the short sides as well. Okay, so you can see that we've got some grill marks now, and I'm gonna let it rest for about 10 to 15 minutes. You can tent it with foil if you like, or just leave it like this. And the purpose of that is allowing the juices to reabsorb into the meat, because if we cut it now, then the juices will run all over and we'll just end up with a dry piece of meat. So we're gonna let it rest, let everything reabsorb, and we'll see you in another 10 minutes. Okay, so our beautiful strip steak has been resting for about 15 minutes, and now we're gonna slice into it. We're gonna cut across the grain. Gorgeous. So you can see from the inside here that it is perfectly cooked. It's perfectly medium rare right in the middle there, which was a function of our sous vide. So here you have it. This is my sous vide strip steak. I'm Abby with Culinary Nutrition Cuisine. Thanks for watching.